Want some TNA? Sorry, we're all out of T's. But we got plenty of A's! Yeah, bootylicious! Cobra the animation, The Psychogun, marks the return of the Cobra franchise. The original space adventure Cobra anime concluded in 1983, with its manga, simply named Cobra, ended in 1984. However, a digital colored manga sequel premiered in the 1990s known as Space Adventure Cobra, or Cobra the Space Pirate. This new anime covers material from the 90s manga, being volumes 1 and 2, nicknamed The Psychogun. This 4-episode OVA series is now available as part of the Cobra the Animation Complete Collection, which includes The Psychogun, Time Drive, and the 2010 Cobra the Animation. Being a new series, The Psychogun seems to retcon previous story events. In the original 80s Cobra, there existed a space pirate named Cobra who was known as the Unkillable Man and held the highest bounty in the universe. This pirate is identified by his signature weapon, the Psychogun, and his partner, Lady Armoroid. But suddenly, Cobra disappeared without a trace, leaving behind an urban legend. 3 years later, a miserable office worker named Johnson went to visit a club which offers trip movies, where people can experience their fantasies via virtual reality. Upon experiencing the trip movie, this resulted in Johnson to recover some lost memories, where the legend of the Space Pirate Cobra was actually his real past. At some point, Cobra changed his face and altered his own memory to hide from the mafia organization known as the Guild. Johnson then becomes Cobra again and teams up with his partner, Lady Armoroid. Cobra then kills a guild member named Viking and begins his new life with space adventures. However, in the Psychogun, the origin story is possibly changed. In the very first scene, Cobra appears meeting Viking and kills him, but the entire scenario of the trip movie is removed. My guess is the trip movie may imply that the current space adventure could all be a fantasy in Johnson's head, similar to the movie Total Recall. Perhaps to avoid that dream possibility, this story still acknowledges Cobra going into hiding, but does so without tampering his memories. Now that I got that background information out of the way, let's move to the real story. The Psychogun could be watched without any prior knowledge of Cobra, but it may help to at least watch the movie or 8 episodes of the 1982 anime. I'll explain why later since it'll involve spoiler materials, so for now I'm gonna put this thing on a sticky note for later. To sum up the story, Cobra helps this woman named Utopia More, who works as a professor. Yeah, this sexy semi-nude woman is a professor. A naughty professor!
Yeah, baby!
During her research, Utopia discovers the whereabouts of a weapon capable of creating galaxies. The Guild gets wind of her discovery and decide to use this weapon for their own use of interstellar conquest. The first episode makes sure to deliver great emphasis on Cobra's character, a man who seeks adventure and is chivalrous towards women, but isn't afraid to get his hands dirty when placed in self-defense. I feel the OVA also served as a debut for new viewers of the series, as the first episode re-establishes most of Cobra's highlights such as his amazing cigar, that his beams can bend in any direction, his smooth personality, and displaying the universe of Space Cobra, which includes aliens, cyborgs, and the sex appeal of seeing semi-nude women. There's a lot of booty shots in this particular story, but that makes it a man's anime, or manime, manly! Even though this is an OVA, you would think a topless scene would be thrown in here, but nope. That actually happened in the 2010 anime, which aired on television. Psychogun appeals to older Cobra fans, but also welcomes a new audience to the franchise. One such example as catering to the old fanbase are the voices for Cobra and Lady, who are still performed by the original actors of the 1982 anime, being Nozawa Nachi and Sakakibara Yoshiko. The villain, Crystal Boy aka Crystal Bowie, also returns for the story, but he is sadly not voiced by his original actor Kobayashi Kiyoshi, who is most notably known for playing Jigen in Lupin III. Speaking of actors, it's also interesting trivia that the first actor for Cobra from the 1982 movie, being Matsuzaki Shigeru, actually performs the ending songs for each of the new Cobra material. Much of the story works well to display multiple sides to Cobra's character, such as his behavior as a ladies' man, or other times goofy when feeling comedic, but still remains entertaining as he was in the 80s. The appeal of Cobra for new fans is his more James Bond approach in this OVA. Such examples are his charisma and the resourcefulness of using various tools, which include his trademark cigar. This story arc focuses solely on Utopia and how she begins to fall for Cobra, while attempting to free herself from anguish of a childhood trauma. To those new to Cobra, you need to go in expecting something visually odd, but that's also its charm. For example, episodes 2 and 3 features flying sand whales, which does give a surreal image, but that's a bit normal compared to something like this mechanical camel thing. What the fuck is this? I don't remember this species of animal having a name, but what's more over the top is the giant walking castle.
What do we have here?
It's Castle Grayskull.
You can pit He-Man against Beastman playing for the power of Castle Grayskull.
I love it. Despite offering much of the same strange stuff we've seen in previous Cobra arcs, such as the diverse and eccentric Barbarella fashion sense, and the many alien species, there is a slight change in the tone in the Psychogun. In my third watch of this OVA, I barely realized how many casualties are in this story. Just about every episode features some innocent bystander dying, or in the case of episode 2, even the mechanical animal dies. While other Cobra stories have their share of death scenes, the Psychogun does feel a bit darker for displaying killings more frequently. Not to mention, there is a brief scene which includes drugged women and these aliens that eat people to make drugs.
Drugs, bud. Your brain must be like really up.
Yeah, it feels a bit darker. This OVA also introduces a new villain named Gypsy Doc, but he doesn't offer much to carry the story on his own, which is why I think Crystal Boy was included. And speaking of changes, much of the animation looks good, especially in scenes featuring plant life and scenery such as episodes 2 and 3. Much of it is due to shading or lighting, which makes certain environments have subtle but stunning visuals. While it doesn't have the iconic Osamu Dezaki postcard memories from the first anime series, the Psychogun still looks remarkable. However, a minor con for this 2008 OVA is the usage of CGI, which doesn't blend too well, especially with Crystal Boy. The following sequels, Time Drive and the animation, also feature heavy CGI usage, and judging from the trailer, CGI will also be used in Cobra: Return of Joe Gillian. But after seeing anime use CGI for so long, it doesn't bother me anymore. But then again, you're listening to a person who grew up watching Beast Wars, so what do I know? As for the soundtrack, there isn't much to say other than it feels very subtle in comparison to the jazzy upbeat tone of the 1982 anime. There is a cinematic feel to it, but nothing really sticks out to me, with the exception of one song. If you listen carefully, you may hear something that sounds similar to certain sci-fi films that begin with Star and ends with Wars. The Psychogun feels like a good return to the series, and the story manages to give you enough content to please, but it definitely leaves you wanting more. An easy example is Lady doing very little in the story, and Cobra doesn't carry his cult python. The final clash between Cobra and Crystal Boy isn't as exciting as the movie or the 1982 anime, which is very underwhelming as the scenery of a burning spaceship is very appropriate for our final battle, not only for the last episode, but especially being the most recent animated fight of Cobra vs. Bowie. To end this review, I need to talk about some spoilers involving Crystal Boy, the 1982 movie and the 1982 anime. But other than that, I'm done. You can just skip to the credits if you wish, if not, then stay tuned for my final words.
Continue!
You have been warned. So, I'm gonna bring back the sticky note from before and tell you why you should probably watch the movie or episodes 1 through 8 of the 82 anime. The Psychogun implies via dialogue and flashbacks that this story takes place after the events of the Royal Sisters arc. This story has two adaptations in which the movie took more liberties, while the anime stayed closer to its manga. The point is, in the Psychogun, Crystal Boy says he is responsible for killing these three Triplet sisters, but that also brings some contradictions. In the movie, Crystal Boy killed two of the sisters while the last one sacrificed her life. Also, Crystal Boy died in that film. In the anime and manga, Crystal Boy once again only killed two sisters, and is seemingly killed by Cobra in episode 8. Meanwhile, the last sister, Dominique, is killed by Salamander, but in episode 31, she is shown to be alive, but I'm not sure if that episode was canon or just a filler ending. The mistake here is Bowie saying that he killed all three, when he didn't. But I guess the bigger question is how or why is he here? Wasn't he dead? Well, in my visits to the French website Cobra World, I discovered that in the 80s manga, Crystal Boy did survive and was supposed to appear in a story featured in episode 25. So there is an arc featuring a return to Crystal Boy, but whether he did kill all three sisters is still up in the air, at least for me because I can't read Japanese or French. So this whole flashback could either be a continuity error or a retcon since its OVA is based on the 90s sequel manga, or just lack of manga information of the original series, which the American fanbase is completely unaware of. FYI, Cobra for some reason has been very popular in France, so they have the manga published over there. As for us living in the USA, we just barely got the entire anime series over here, but if you check Amazon's Kindle store, you can digitally purchase the 90 sequel manga, which are translated into English, and are completely digitally colored. So if anyone knows the full story of Crystal Boy and the sisters in relation to the Psychogun, please tell me in the comments and I'll write whatever notes I can find in the description. So that's about it for the Psychogun, and eventually I'll cover everything Cobra that I can get my hands on. But until then, please visit my Cobra playlist, which includes the Cobra Anthology, detailing each and every anime adaptation. Until next time, I'm the Anime Hero, and I review anime so you can enjoy it.